Outlander has always been a series that thrives on testing the limits of love, loyalty, and destiny, but Season 8, Episode 1 takes that tension to an entirely new level. The trailer makes it crystal clear: the stakes are higher than ever, and the shadow of death is everywhere. Jamie Fraser's voice cuts through the chaos, declaring that war is coming and that James Fraser dies in it. This isn't just another dramatic line. It's a confession that sends shivers through every fan who has held on to hope that Jamie would somehow escape the fate history has written for him. But what does this mean for Claire, the woman who has fought through centuries, battles, betrayals, and heartbreaks just to be with him? Her story has always been bound to Jamie's, and now the trailer hints that she may be forced to live through the one thing she has always feared most: losing him forever. What makes this even more haunting is that the quote doesn't just come from Jamie himself, but from a book tied back to Frank Randall, a reminder that history has always had its claws in their lives. The possibility that the premiere could open with Jamie's death before pulling us into the story of how they arrived there is more than just a theory. It feels like a deliberate setup, a warning that nothing in this final season will be predictable, and every moment could be the last. But death is not the only ghost looming in the shadows of Episode 1. Faith Fraser, the daughter Jamie and Claire lost long ago, still lingers at the center of this heartbreaking puzzle. Season 7 shook the fandom with the shocking reveal that Faith might have lived after all, and Claire's haunting dream of Master Raymond apologizing seemed less like a fantasy and more like a clue. The trailer teases flashes of the truth, hinting that answers about Faith's fate will finally come. Not just in whispers, but through real revelations. Could Master Raymond have been behind the deception? Could Faith have been stolen, hidden, or even protected by forces beyond Claire's understanding? Episode 1 doesn't just dangle these questions, it dares us to believe that the dead may walk among the living once again. And if Faith truly survived, then everything we thought we knew about Jamie and Claire's journey is shattered. Imagine the heartbreak of realizing the child they mourned for years was alive but lost to them. The grief, the anger, the guilt. This isn't just a twist for shock value, it's a story that could redefine everything about their legacy. And yet, for all the heartbreak and mystery, Episode 1 also sets the stage for one of the most dangerous chapters in Outlander history. The backcountry is on the edge of war, with violence and betrayal waiting at every turn. The trailer's imagery makes it clear that enemies are closing in from all sides, and survival is no longer guaranteed. Roger and Brianna's struggles in the 20th century echo this same desperation as they face the consequences of Season 7 and the dangers Rob Cameron left in his wake. Their family's safety is more fragile than ever, and the possibility of new life, with whispers of another child, only raises the stakes. This duality, life and death, love and loss, is the heartbeat of Outlander. And Episode 1 of Season 8 wastes no time reminding us that both can strike at any moment. But perhaps the most devastating thread woven into this premiere is the broken bond between Jamie and Lord John Grey. Once a relationship of deep respect, loyalty, and unspoken love, it has been fractured beyond repair after Lord John's marriage to Claire under the belief that Jamie was dead. The trailer hints at moments of tension and possible redemption, but whispers from the cast suggest that sacrifice may be the only way forward. Could Lord John lay down his life for Jamie, offering one last act of devotion in the ashes of betrayal? If so, Episode 1 could mark the end of one of Outlander's most layered and emotional friendships, leaving fans with yet another loss to mourn. This is why the premiere of Season 8 doesn't just feel like the beginning of a new season. It feels like a funeral march set against the backdrop of war, memory, and destiny. The cast themselves have warned us to prepare for heartbreak, calling it nostalgic, dangerous, eternal, and unforgettable. And if Episode 1 is already teasing death, lost children, and broken friendships, then the rest of the season is certain to push us even further into despair, only to remind us why Outlander has always been about hope rising in the darkest moments. Jamie and Claire's love story has never been easy, but now, as we step into the final chapter, one truth becomes inescapable. This is not just the end of a season. This is the end of an era. And no matter what happens, we will not come out of episode 1 unchanged. The most powerful thing about Outlander has always been its ability to take us beyond the love story and still remind us that every moment circles back to Jamie and Claire. Season 8, Episode 1 is no different. The trailer shows us glimpses of a world unraveling, and yet at the very heart of that chaos lies their bond, fragile, unbreakable, but also surrounded by the cruel hands of fate. Fans who have followed this journey know that Outlander has never shied away from tragedy. From Culloden to Lallybroch, from Paris to the Ridge, history has always forced Jamie and Claire into impossible choices. But now, standing at the edge of their final battle, the pain feels sharper, because we know this is the last time we will walk this path with them. Every line of dialogue, every flash of the trailer, every whispered warning seems designed to cut us to pieces, while also daring us to hope that maybe, just maybe, love will be enough to rewrite destiny one final time. And yet, destiny in Outlander has never been merciful. The chilling possibility that episode 1 begins with Jamie's death hangs like a sword over the audience. Is this the moment the prophecy becomes reality? Or will the writers twist the knife, showing us his fate, but dragging us through the torment of waiting until the very last episode to face it head on? It is not just Jamie and Claire who will carry the weight of this premiere, though. Brianna and Roger's story in the 20th century is tightly woven into the larger narrative, and Season 8, Episode 1 is already promising to raise the stakes for their family. The trauma left by Rob Cameron is far from over, and with the possibility of another child on the horizon, their struggles will echo the same theme of fragile hope that Jamie and Claire are battling in the past. Roger's determination to protect his family, even as the dangers of time travel continue to ripple through their lives, mirrors Jamie's struggle to shield Claire from the war that is closing in on Frasers Ridge. These parallel storylines are not accidental. They remind us that the fight for survival is not just about the past or the future. It's about family, about legacy, and about the cost of love in a world that seems determined to tear it apart. Episode 1, according to whispers from the production team, wastes no time weaving these threads together. The opening act of this season is not about easing us back in gently, but about confronting us with the harsh truth that time itself cannot protect them from heartbreak. The faith mystery, however, remains the most haunting and electrifying part of the premiere. Claire's dream of Master Raymond still lingers in the minds of fans, and the trailer fuels the fire with subtle flashes that hint at long-hidden truths. For years, faith was the wound that never healed, the loss that defined Claire and Jamie's deepest grief. But if episode 1 truly begins to reveal that her story is far from over, then this final season will force the Frasers to grapple with an entirely new kind of pain. Imagine Jamie's face when confronted with the possibility that the daughter he mourned was alive but beyond his reach. Imagine Claire's guilt if she realizes that her visions, her instincts, were right all along, and yet she never found her child. The beauty and cruelty of Outlander has always been its refusal to give us simple answers. If Faith returns to the story, it will not be a neat reunion tied with a bow. It will be messy, heartbreaking, and shattering. And that is exactly why episode 1 already feels like a gut punch waiting to happen. And then there's the looming shadow of Lord John Grey. His bond with Jamie has been one of the most intricate and heartbreaking relationships in the entire series, a mix of loyalty, love, unspoken devotion, and betrayal. After marrying Claire and Jamie's supposed death, that bond was ripped apart, and the trailer suggests that Season 8, Episode 1 may confront this wound head-on. Rumors swirl of Lord John making the ultimate sacrifice, giving his life to protect Jamie in a final act of love that could redeem the betrayal but destroy us as viewers. The thought of losing Lord John so early in the season feels unbearable, but it also fits the ruthless rhythm of Outlander's storytelling. This show has never played it safe, and in its final chapter, it will cut deeper than ever before. Lord John's story has always paralleled Jamie's in subtle ways, Both men bound by honor, both defined by sacrifice, both willing to endure unimaginable pain for the people they love. If his arc ends in episode 1, it will not just be a shocking twist, but a devastating reminder that even the strongest bonds can be broken by time and war. Of course, the war itself looms as more than just background noise. The trailer echoes Jamie's chilling warning: war is coming to the backcountry. The Revolutionary War has been building in the shadows of this story for seasons, but now it erupts into the center of the narrative. For Jamie, this is not just about battles and politics. It is about standing on the front lines of history while knowing that every step could be his last. For Claire, it is about living with the knowledge that her husband's fate is written in a book she has seen with her own eyes. Episode 1 will not shy away from this tension. Instead, it will confront it head-on, dragging us into the chaos of war while still reminding us that this is not just about muskets and uniforms. It is about love tested in the fire of history itself. The cast's own words make it clear that this premiere will be unforgettable. Sophie Skelton has called the season nostalgic. Richard Rankin described it as sexy and dangerous, and Sam Heughan himself admitted it will be heartbreaking and eternal. These are not empty words. They are warnings. Episode 1 is the first strike of a season that is determined to break us before lifting us up again. And as Katrina Balfe herself said, "We hope that we do you proud." That line alone feels like a farewell wrapped in love, a reminder that the people behind this show know how much it means to us, and that this final chapter is a gift, even if it tears us apart. Outlander has never been about easy goodbyes. It has always been about holding on to hope in the darkest nights. And now, with Season 8, Episode 1, the darkest night has begun. What makes this premiere so overwhelming is not just the scale of the story, but the way it feels like everything is colliding at once: death, love, war, betrayal, and the haunting weight of time itself. Outlander Season 8, Episode 1 isn't easing us into the final chapter. It's throwing us directly into the fire. From the very first moment, we are reminded that Jamie Fraser's fate has never belonged to him alone. History has claimed him again and again, and Claire's desperate attempts to change the past have always carried consequences. The trailer seems to suggest that this final season will no longer hold back the truth. The prophecy of his death, the warnings from Frank's book, the whispers of war, all of it is now colliding in a way that makes survival feel impossible. Fans have held on to hope that love could defy history, but what if this is the season that proves history will not be denied? That question lingers like a dagger in the heart, and Episode 1 looks determined to twist it deeper with every frame. Jamie's line about dying in the war is not just foreshadowing, it's a declaration. It's the moment we realize that no matter how much we beg, the end has already been written. But Outlander has never been just about endings. It's also about the secrets hidden in the cracks of history. Faith's shadow still hangs heavy over the trailer, and her story threatens to turn everything upside down. We know that Master Raymond remains one of the most mysterious figures in the entire Outlander universe, and his apology to Claire in her dream was not an accident. What if Raymond orchestrated Faith's disappearance, believing it was the only way to protect her? What if Episode 1 finally reveals that the child Claire thought she lost was never gone at all, only hidden? The trailer hints at flashbacks, moments that feel less like memory and more like revelation. Could we actually see the truth of Faith's birth and what followed? The very idea is enough to send chills through the fandom. If Faith's fate is revealed in Episode 1, it could become the emotional anchor of the entire season, a story that forces Jamie and Claire to confront not only what they lost, but what was stolen from them. The tragedy of discovering she lived but was taken could be even more devastating than losing her altogether. And if Faith herself appears, alive, grown, and scarred by her past, the Frasers will be thrown into the kind of emotional storm that even their legendary love may struggle to withstand. Yet even as these mysteries unfold, the looming threat of war refuses to stay in the background. Episode 1 is set during a time when the Revolutionary War is boiling to the surface, and Fraser's Ridge stands in its deadly path. The trailer makes it clear, this is not a distant battle that can be ignored. It is war at their doorstep. Neighbors will turn into enemies, friends will be forced into impossible choices, and Jamie himself will be thrust into the kind of leadership that demands sacrifice. Claire has always stood by him, but how does she face the battlefield knowing she has already seen the pages of Frank Randall's book predicting Jamie's death? That kind of knowledge is a curse, and in the trailer, we see the weight of it pressing down on her. The way she looks at Jamie feels different, like every glance could be their last. That tension will define episode 1, and it's the kind of heartbreak only Outlander can deliver. Meanwhile, Brianna and Roger's story in the 20th century continues to mirror these same themes of danger, sacrifice, and fragile hope. After Rob Cameron's betrayal, the wounds are still fresh, and their family is still in danger. The trailer hints at tension, whispers of new threats, and the fragile possibility of a child. Sophie Skelton herself teased the idea of another baby, which could turn their story into one of both fear and hope. Fear of raising a child in such uncertain times, but hope that love can still bring new beginnings, even when everything feels like it's falling apart. Roger's role will be crucial here. He has transformed from a man uncertain of his place in this story to a protector willing to risk everything for his family. Episode 1 may very well show us just how far he will go when the future itself is no longer safe. These modern-day struggles are not distractions. They are reflections of Jamie and Claire's battles, showing us that the fight for love and family is eternal, no matter the century. But what may cut the deepest in episode 1 is the fracture between Jamie and Lord John Grey. Their bond has always been a unique thread in Outlander's tapestry. A love unspoken, a loyalty unshakable, a friendship forged in fire. Yet, after Lord John's marriage to Claire, that bond lies shattered, and the trailer hints at confrontation, at a reckoning that could come with devastating consequences. Rumors of Lord John's sacrifice linger like smoke, suggesting that his final act may be one of redemption, a choice to give his life for Jamie's. If this plays out in the premiere, it would be one of the most heartbreaking turns the show has ever taken. Losing Lord John so soon would not only devastate Jamie, but also remind us that Outlander has no intention of giving us a gentle goodbye. This is a story that will cut deep again and again until the very last moment. And then there is the emotional weight of the cast themselves, who have spoken openly about what this season means. Sam Heughan has described it as eternal, Katrina Balfe has promised it will honor the fans, and Richard Rankin has warned us to expect danger at every turn. These are not casual comments. They are farewells dressed as promises. Episode 1 will carry that energy, not just the story on screen, but the knowledge that we are witnessing the beginning of the end. Every frame feels heavier because we know it is the last time. Every line feels sharper because it is a goodbye disguised as dialogue. Outlander has always been a love story written across centuries, but now, in Season 8, that love story is heading toward its final chapter, and Episode 1 is the doorway into that heartbreak. When we look back at this show years from now, Season 8, Episode 1 will be remembered as the moment where everything changed. Not because it gave us answers, but because it forced us to confront the reality that Jamie and Claire's time is running out. The trailer makes it clear. This is not about comfort, it is about truth. And the truth is devastating. Jamie may not survive, Faith may not be lost after all, Lord John may sacrifice himself, war may consume Frasers Ridge, and through it all, Claire may be forced to face the unthinkable, a life without Jamie. Episode 1 is not just a beginning. It is the crack in the foundation, the moment the walls begin to crumble, the first sign that everything we've held onto for so long is slipping through our fingers. And that is why it feels so impossible to watch, yet so impossible to look away.